We are live with a new edition of NFTLDR. Let's check it out. I'm your host, Huda. Let's see what's happening in the NFT space. Holy shit, that's so stupid. Okay, at the top. Hang on, we gotta turn you down a little bit. Dreadfuls. What the heck is a Dreadfuls? You're asking that, I'm not. Dreadfuls. They've been around the block. 1 point fathom who is trading this and why. I don't see the purpose. You do see some real sales sprinkled in there too, but those sales are that this is wash trading. We're going to go ahead and blow that away from the leaderboard. That doesn't belong there. But what that means is that Bored Ape Yacht Club is number one, again, like always, with over $1.2 million in sales in 24 hours. Now, those sales, yeah, a good bit of those are actually wash sales too. But something kind of got my interest while I'm looking through those trades, which is some of these NFTs last traded hands back 3 to 5 months ago. Now they're trading hands again for ApeCoin. Problem is they've lost half their value as ApeCoin has lost half of its value. So you see these NFTs that 3 months ago sold for 10,000 Ape. Well, they yet again sold for 10,000 Ape today. But while that Ape sale was worth $40,000 those months ago, today it's worth just $20,000. What this trader is doing, I'm not sure, but it's not just one trader. There's multiple traders doing this. So what I'm actually wondering is if this is Bendao Auctions. It's an NFT lending platform. I'm wondering if there's some liquidations that were triggered due to the Bored Ape Yacht Club floor price falling. What happens is the loan-to-value ratio decreases to a price point where auctions are automatically triggered. And I think that's what you're seeing here now. So you're seeing some ape sales happening for a pretty discount price, and they are legitimate sales. So that's helping push the collection to the true number one spot. Behind it, you have D-Market on site right now at the number 3 spot. Technically, it's the number 2 project. Those D-Market NFTs are Counter-Strike Go skins and Team Fortress 2 skins. They're actual gaming skins where the transaction itself is tokenized on the D-Market marketplace, and technically then you have an NFT. These traders may not know that they're NFTs, but they are. Last week you actually had a major YouTube streamer, Dr. Disrespect, pull a $16,000 knife from a loot box inside the game, which was pretty darn exciting, and technically that is an NFT that could live on the D-Market marketplace, so pretty darn cool. Just under that, you have Gods Unchained, another game. Both of these showing the resilience and the perfect use case for NFTs of gaming assets. Gods Unchained is a card game where the cards themselves are NFTs, and those are actually living right now on the Epic Game Store. So this game is starting to enter the mainstream, and it's getting mainstream attention, and you see that with it constantly now living in the CryptoSlam top 5 collections. Next, you have Mutant Ape Yacht Club. Your average trading here, it's $400,000 in 24 hours, which typically that's pretty low. But in a market with volume that has decreased to this amount, well, 400,000 gets you in the top 5. We have Sorare at number 6, which is fantasy football, soccer. We call it soccer here. That's what it's called. Now, that's behind an influencer named Pranksy, who has been leading a marketing charge, putting his team up against other teams in a community, and ultimately, I think there are NFT prizes, possibly even crypto prizes in that ecosystem. Definitely worth looking at and putting a time investment in at the very least. It's a cool ecosystem, and they've been around for a while, since it might even be 2017, but let's say 2018 at least. They're considered OGs in the space, highly regarded, and rightfully so. It's a great project. D-Gods is next. While not much is going on yet, there is a tease of D-Gods Season 3 on the horizon, which will bring female avatars into the mix. Now, when that's coming out, they've not said, and probably that's because of the market conditions right now. You kind of want to wait for the market to pick up before having a mint, otherwise you risk not selling out your new collections. The Cyberkongs ran into this recently. All of this really stemming from the Azuki mint last week, which in a way crippled the NFT space. It crippled the ecosystem, and it drained traders of liquidity. There's not a lot left out there to spend. D-Gods may be playing the long game at this point, waiting for the market to pick up before launching Season 3. So we're keeping our eyes there. Azuki, like I mentioned, well, Their Elementals mint was just brutal on the space, brutal to their floor price, and they've fallen from typically in the top 5 collections now to the 8th spot in the collection rankings. $282,000 in trading in the past 24 hours, but again, their NFTs prices have dropped drastically. Earlier this year, Azukis were trading for 17, 18 ETH. Following the disastrous Elemental mint, they're down to 5 ETH now, and I don't think that is the bottom for them, unfortunately. The ball's in their court now to really turn the project around, and they have every opportunity to do so, but it's going to take some serious effort to turn that ship around and get some momentum going in the other direction. I'm not sure what they can do, but they need to do something here. In the 9th spot, AI World Node, which looked into that a little bit earlier. It's some type of AI node you purchase for mining. Mining for what? Don't know. Any maybe rewards platforms? Super hard to say, but it's a 20,000 NFT collection living on the Binance blockchain. Love to see other blockchains entering the top 10. It's a bigger ecosystem than just Ethereum. They're not the only thing to be paying attention to, and something like AI World entering the top 10 brings attention to just how broad the ecosystem is. You love to see it. Finally, in the 10th spot is the Captains, who recently had their art reveal. To some, underwhelming. If you were paying attention, though, there's more going on than meets the eye. The Captains reveal with a really plain-looking PFP. But the reason is, over time, you will buy and trade and sell traits to build a PFP that looks how you want it to look. So let's take a look at what those plain NFTs look like and why people were so disappointed in the reveal, and you can see on screen here. That's a Captain's NFT. Super plain, right? There's nothing exciting or flashy about that, but that's not her final form. Whether it's glasses or other hair or different backgrounds and even clothing, you're going to be able to swap out those attributes and those traits, making this a very alive collection. But it also brings secondary value to those traits. So we're going to see a very active market with trait trading. I'm excited to see it. We've not seen that in the project yet. I hope we see more of it. I think it's an innovative way and an interactive way to experience these PFPs. Looking over at the blockchains, Ethereum, of course, in the top spot. Nobody's even close to dethroning them, and it will be a while before anybody even tries. More on that in just a moment. Behind Ethereum, we have Solana, Binance, and Mythos chain. Solana's done excellent, following their SMB barrel raffle late last month, which was the biggest sale we'd seen on Solana in 2 years, really. It might have been the all-time high sale on Solana. They're doing really well. They're more than hanging around in this bear market. They're excelling at the moment, again, in a very, very tricky market. Binance is in 3rd. Now, that's behind the AI World Node trades, pushing it to the number 3 spot. Then Mythos, like I mentioned, that's those gaming skins from some of the world's biggest games, and that's pushing them into the number 4 spot. You have Polygon, who recently announced 2 things. One, an upgrade to the blockchain called Polygon 2.0. They're changing how the blockchain works in the reward systems, and they've hinted at more exciting changes to come. One of them, not even hinting at, fully revealed that the Palm blockchain will be migrating over to the Polygon blockchain as part of their new 2.0 ecosystem. With that migration comes the brands that live on Polygon, like Major League Baseball, like Netflix with their Stranger Things NFTs. They have the big brands, and those big brands are right at home on Polygon, who already has Disney and they have Starbucks. Right now, Polygon is known as the big brand chain, and right in line with that is this move. So we're excited to see what they have going forward, but I expect to see them much higher than that number 5 spot. Bitcoin is number 6, and this is what I really wanted to focus on here. At one point, I used to talk about Bitcoin being a blockchain that would ultimately flip Ethereum, and I still believe that's possible in the long run. By long run, 5 years out, 10 years out, I'm not really sure. But think about this. You look at your NFT collection, and you have to ask yourself, where would you rather that NFT live? Would you rather see that NFT living on Ethereum, or would you rather that live on the world's first, most widely adopted blockchain, on Bitcoin? If I'm being honest, I'd rather have them on Bitcoin, just personally. Now, NFTs with utility on Bitcoin is not going to make a lot of sense, right? It's expensive to move your assets around, and there's such a delay sometimes just because it is an old blockchain. It's not really optimized to transact more than just sending money back and forth and maybe making payments. But as that ecosystem builds out and new protocols are invented, like things like BRC20 and recursive, you never know what that blockchain could evolve to and if it could become a utility chain. For now, though, there's nothing more than, I hate to say it, but throwaway art that lives on that chain, and you're seeing that reflected now in the price. It's stuff people don't really care for, that they don't really care about, and with only $600,000 in sales in 24 hours, a far cry from the millions it was doing just weeks before, you can see there's a real change in how people perceive that chain. So I'll be watching, seeing what can turn that around. I don't know what it'll take at this point. Maybe some high-end art, something like that you see at Sotheby's with their more prestigious offerings. You bring those to Bitcoin, and you have a whole new storyline taking place over there. And to me, art, high-quality art, makes sense on Bitcoin. Why that hasn't been done yet, I'm not sure, but I do kind of expect to see that at some point. After Bitcoin, Immutable X, like I mentioned, Gods Unchained is driving the volume there. Then you have Cardano, Arbitrum, and Flow to round out the top 10. Overall volume just really, really low. Taking a peek at global sales in the last 24 hours. This is a running total, but so far today, $8.3 million in sales. Sundays are typically very, very slow trading days, so we'll see how high we can get up here. But we're already past what we saw 2 weeks ago on the slowest trading day in almost 2 years. That's going all the way back to, let's see, I think that was July 16th? I think that was July... Hang on, let's take a peek. Was that the 21st? I want to say it was the 16th, to be honest. It was somewhere in this time frame. Yeah, let's stick with the 16th for now. The slowest trading we have seen in years, since July of 2021. The market's changed, and this is before we actually head into the slow time of year. Typically, August, September is the start of a very, very, very slow time for NFTs that just gets slower as we go. Looking at the Forecast 500, and I just want to show you that trend down that we see the second half of the year, and so you get an idea of what's coming, and what's coming isn't so great. Year to date, the market's already down 36%, right? From our peak around January 17th, just trending down, down, down. Doesn't matter if we have these mini kind of hyped cycles, still the market trends down. Still the top NFTs lose value. Traders, they sell those NFTs. They get some liquidity to buy the newest, hottest thing. It's a typical cycle that we see in NFTs, but it just keeps pulling the prices down, the value down of these assets. You know what? Instead of looking at this index, we'll show you on the global chart that action I was talking about with the second half of the year. Really, really, you'll see where NFTs really fall apart each year. Let's go to 2022. Yeah, go for it. That sounded really good. I'm still doing it. So, yeah. Okay, 2022, right? First half of the year. Lots of action. Lots of action. Till you get to May, June. Maybe it started a little earlier this year, but it certainly was more like July, August, where you felt that you were definitely in a different phase of NFTs, where it just falls off a cliff and does not recover. So we can watch that trend down. If I could expand this more, you'd see really around August, though, it does take a noticeable decline further. Okay, but what happens when you get to the start of the next year? You're up again. And that's taken us to 2023. We're up. Declining through the year, like I mentioned, like it always does. But now we are heading to that slow time again, and it's going to get ugly out there. I'm just... It's not to FUD the space, right? It's just so people are aware of the way this market moves, so you can make the wisest moves. That's ultimately the point. Hang on. So how come 2021 it didn't dip? Wasn't quite the same. Although this was when the first mass adoption really started coming to the blockchain, right? You had everything ramping up in 2021. August, September hits. Now, I'll preface this by saying August 2021 was hyped. It was hot. It really was. There was a lot of new people pouring into NFTs. That was driven by people like Mike Tyson changing their PFP to an NFT. I think he had changed his to a Cool Cat. And the way that drove the masses here, that's a rush I don't know if we'll see again. I believe we will a few years out. We'll have another type of mass adoption event, but that was certainly one. You see that reflected in the chart. But again, August, September, you see us coming crashing down, and there's nothing recovering after that. It's just really, really flat. till you get to the start of the next calendar year, and it ramps right back up. So I expect to see that again here too. Keep your eye on the Forecast 500 index. You can watch along with the value of these NFTs really just falling apart. It's what the space does. It's what the space is till we get to more realistic prices. But what do I mean by realistic, right? Well, realistic is not multiple collections, dozens of collections with 3 to 5 ETH floors, some of them, 10 plus ETH floors. Not realistic. It doesn't make sense for these JPEGs with such a huge supply of them out there to be $10, $20, $30,000. It just doesn't. It makes more sense that you have the biggest, best collections. Maybe those are, $1,000 for their floor NFTs, which is just half an ETH. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe I can give them a little more credit and say, 2, 3 ETH. That could make sense in the biggest, best collection. Something like Azuki still is considered the best, so I can see them holding a 5 ETH floor. Also won't be shocked to see it closer to 1 or 2, but we'll see. But to gods, again, those, I'm trying to get away from calling any of these blue chips. For now, I'm going to call them blue chips. So the blue chip collections certainly can hold a multi-ETH floor, maybe a 5 ETH floor, as long as this bear market doesn't drag out too much longer. Otherwise, I think they're coming down. But realistic prices for NFTs, a few $100s for most collections. Maybe most of them actually more like $10, $20, $50, a couple $100. That makes sense, even for ones, more household names in the NFT space. A couple $100 at the most makes sense. And I'm talking about floor NFT prices. There's always grails in the collections. But those blue chips, I can still see them holding that 3 to 5 ETH floor. Not a lot more than that. Only Bored Ape, which I expect to come down to, and only CryptoPunks deserve that floor price as the inspiration for everything we see in this space, whether it's the traits that all collections have, the laser eyes, the beanie hat, the bandanas, those traits, you trace them all right back to CryptoPunks. They inspired it all. The size of the collections, these 10K collections, well, CryptoPunks inspired that too, all the way down to the token standard that all of these collections use. Typically, these collections are minting on the ERC 721 token standard, which, by the way, CryptoPunks weren't minted on that, but they inspired that new token standard because of the need to preserve these individual attributes, these individual traits. So CryptoPunks are the king of NFTs. They deserve whatever floor price they can maintain, currently around 50 ETH. Not too shabby. It's $100,000. $100,000 to get yourself in the CryptoPunks family, which everybody should be trying to do. Those, I believe, one day have $1 million floor. I always say everyone's goal should be getting 1 Bitcoin and getting 1 CryptoPunk, and that should be your target, and that should motivate all of your